Look, I, like you guys, I'm sure, have a lot of question marks surrounding Outlanders. But at the same time,
they do got the great sword up down and it's so cool!
Hello then, my fellow hunters, and, well, let's talk Outlanders, because if you weren't aware, the closed beta is happening, and this is where my invite would be.
If I had one!
Yes, sadly, I am not playing it because, well, I'm not in Japan, Canada, or USA, and that is a requirement to be playing it. It also only runs to December 4th, and it's limited, confidential, and you must maintain strict confidentiality. Feels like you gotta meet in a dark alley and be like, shh. You in Outlanders? Do you like it? So we won't be hearing anything going on or seeing gameplay, at least not in any above board sense, for a question mark amount of time. However, to anyone who is actually in that's watching this, damn you. No, for real, I hope you're enjoying it, because, I mean, ultimately, for as many question marks that there are over Outlanders for how it might turn out, we all just want it to be an awesome game because it's a Monster Hunter game, right? I also really want it to be on PC. In any case, we do have a lot to talk about, though, because alongside the beta starting, we have this, the Aesoland Adventure Guide. And this gives a lot of tasty little information when it comes to how the game will flow and play, with some nice screenshots to exemplize it. So I thought we'd go through, have a little talk, and see what's what when it comes to Outland. And foremost, though, I still just cannot get over that this is a mobile game. I genuinely worry about people's phones melting. Like, it's so pretty, it looks so huge, and even just the raw file size is something to think about. But in terms of raw ideas and mechanics that are on display, it does look like a really fun take on Monster Hunter that still works on mobile. Though seeing the control schemes that we're about to talk about and stuff does kind of make me a little bit concerned for PC, but hey, that can always be adapted. In any case, let's look into this. A new hunting experience for mobile. In this title, experience the action-packed fun of Monster Hunter through a control system optimized for mobile devices. Obviously, that has to be the case, but it also is a little bit of a, okay, let's see. Each of the three classes, so Assault being one of them, the weapons aren't the classes inherently, have a distinct playstyle. Powerful skills such as Adventure Ultimates, Buddy Ultimates, and the Co-op skill add greater depths. So here then we can see against this Pookie how it's kind of laid out. You've got your weapon and you've got little buttons to press, and each of them will do different attacks, maneuvers, or dodging relative to the weapon. It's certainly simplified from actual Monster Hunter, but obviously it has to be. My general read on this is, and from various gameplay that has been out there, is it does kind of look like the middle point between something super simplified like Monster Hunter Now, where you're kind of locked with the monster and you just press buttons in response to it, and you kind of rotate around each other, and it doesn't use the space like it does in a real Monster Hunter game, and, well, a real Monster Hunter game. In any case, so we're going to be looking at the Fated Adventurer Assault class with Longsword, because of course it's Longsword. So you build up your Spirit Gauge by using the chain slash through basic attacks, which basically means just tap the basic attack button, right? And then you will work through it. So then you press skill 1 and you do a Spirit Blade chain slash and upgrade your level. So you've got just your standard attack button, then you've got special weapon function button 1 that you tap and do the thing. Special weapon button function 2 is your foresight slash or EI slash. Now, I do wonder how you control which one it does, or is it context sensitive? It might well be, depending on what current move through your combo with your basic button you are, so that's quite flexible. It does make it perhaps easier to do, because you just tap it and then you're countering, but I think capturing the full depth and complexity of a Monster Hunter weapon moveset in 4 buttons on mobile is obviously a challenge, and if this flows and feels good, then that's quite impressive. You need to reach that sort of middle ground of being complex without being frustrating to kind of operate in a mobile setting with your fingers crammed all over the screen trying to make it work. Then you've got skill 3 once your gauge is high enough to do the spirit thrust for massive damage, presumably in the weak spot. And that's kind of the flow then. You got your basic attack button that you're tapping away at the right time, in between obviously dodging monster attacks, and then you work through your skills that are tied to the weapon to do its more unique special functions. We then have the ability to perform a perfect evade by dodging at the exact moment a monster's attack is about to connect. So obviously you have a dodge button, and you'll be able to just use that whenever, but if you time it, then you do a perfect evade. So essentially every weapon and class has access to a perfect evade-like mechanic, and everyone then can trigger follow-up moves based on it, which is kind of nice, feels a little bit Valor style-y. And then after you get hit and you sent off balance, you can also use the evade button to quick recovery, get back on your feet. My main thing with this is spacing and movement, because obviously all the buttons on the screen are either evade or do things with your weapon and attack, right? So what about moving away and towards the monster, or disengaging from it, or leaving? Or is it a case that you'll run into a monster in like the open world, then go into sort of this hunt mode zone, not like a transition or loading or anything, but it just becomes the battle phase of the game where all you do is attack and dodge until one of you wins. There might well be a disengage or flee button, but you know what I'm saying. It kind of does come across as a little bit now-y to me, as opposed to... In any case, though, from the tidbits we have seen and from looking at this, it does look clean, it looks responsive, it looks like it works, and I do think it looks like it has the potential to feel Monster Hunter-y and engaging without being too overwhelming in a mobile setting. So I am certainly hopeful. It really depends how they've done the other weapons as well. We also then have the whole squad sharing a pool of energy that lets you do a special co-op skill. And then someone activates it, and then the entire team must time their strikes to hit the same monster part for the skill to succeed. So it's a powerful move that'll select a part that everyone has to time-wise hit that part, and then you do this big combo group skill. That's actually really neat and a fun way to encourage some actual working together. And just this existing means that it has to be easy and simple to be as precise as to attack a specific part at a specific time, which does say a lot about the combat system, or at least their impression of the combat system. And then each adventure, of course, has their own hunting techniques that we will find out about. But I do like that, encouraging proper group play. It's like someone using the limit break in Final Fantasy, you know? So that's quite fun. Obviously, combat is something that's impossible to really get a proper feel for without literally doing it. Even watching raw gameplay doesn't really let you have that. Is it good? Does it flow? Though it certainly at least seems to be that way. In any case, we then get to some equipment here. So, of course, we have that classic gather, get materials, get monster parts, forge it into weapons. And then we have immediately in the screenshot then this ecological rank A1. So, from the looks of things, the equipment that you can craft, its quality, its rarity is tied to this ecological rank that presumably is going to go up throughout the game as you hunt and do stuff. And then the radiant species, which are obviously the new kind of hook monster in Outlanders, will give you new gear. So that's really exciting. It's not just going to be sets and weapons we've seen before. There will be some radiant stuff to mix things up. And in terms of the stats and all of that, it's kind of what we expect from Monster Hunter. We'll have slots in weapons later on, which is nice to see. You've got your sharpness, you've got your element, and you've got your attack, and it does seem to be in true raw there. So that's nice to see. Very simple materials and big old forge button. I mean, honestly, it's very clean. It looks like it very much does what it needs to do. It's nice getting the model of the weapon there, and nothing hugely to say about that. Then we come on to sharpness, and this is interesting. So, melee weapons have a sharpness level that determines how easily your attacks bounce off. Okay, cool. However, in this title, sharpness does not deplete when you attack.
Is that legal?
So you won't need to restore it with whetstones. When forging weapons, be sure to consider not only attack power and element, but also sharpness. Huh. This is quite curious, because on one hand, you understand on the surface why they've done this. Alright, it's a mobile game, it's got a faster pace, we don't want people taking breaks with whetstones and just maintaining their weapons like that, we'll just quality of life it and get rid of it. But you look a little bit deeper, and suddenly this is very warping to Monster Hunter. Think about how much of many weapons revolves around managing sharpness, building in things like razor sharp or master's touch or handicraft. Jewel blades is a big example, or then the flip side like greatsword that can get away with only 20-30 hits of white, etc. As soon as sharpness is just permanent, you not only have to no longer think about sharpness as part of your build and actually dealing with it, it also changes the balance of the weapons, because weapons a lot of the time are balanced by them not having a lot of a certain amount of sharpness. So this then kind of changes that. The weapon just is the sharpness that it is, and it makes me feel like choosing the best weapon to use is going to be very simplified, but at the same time you can just balance the game around this, so that might be an irrelevant concern, but I do think this one is a little bit of a shame because sharpness as a mechanic adds so much to Monster Hunter, more than you might realize. So we'll see how this actually plays out. Then we have decorations, as one might expect. We've got skills coming from the armor, item prolonger mind's eye, which is state survival expert, from the Kula Yaku, and then we have one whole decoration slot to add something new. This is very familiar, this makes sense, nothing too crazy going on here. And of course, the Crimson Plume Guild Jewel Blades. We do have some unique stuff that we've seen the characters holding already, and that's quite fun. Mind's eye back to rank 1 here, but so far the skills to be exactly what we expect them to be. And again, all the UI stuff, honestly, is looking really quite clean, and I really do like it. We also get layered armor and presumably layered weapons from the get-go as well, which is nice. I feel like, you know, the fashion hunting is going to be a big factor in a mobile hunting game. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of seemingly purple rarity monster parts going into a rarity 6 Kula Yaku set. That feels like it should be early game, but then at the same time, that's already 300 defense from Kula Yaku, so this might actually be like high ranky, though it's only ecological rank 2, which presumably is just the second ecological rank, so we will see. The Jewel Blades were A1, this is A2. I just really hope that monster parts and getting the specific ones to make the specific gear isn't going to be a ridiculous grind, isn't going to be really low drop rates, isn't going to be affected, influenced, or encouraged in any kind of monetization, cash shop kind of way. Obviously, the devs have said it's not going to be predatory with microtransactions, but that is what you would say. It's important we stay vigilant on that front, but it might just simply be that's how they've categorized their rare materials, and they're not actually going to be that rare in a literal sense getting hold of them. Then we get expanding gameplay through crafting, also known as the Wild Hearts edition. So of course we can cut down trees, get wood, mine ore, and while that's very amusing in a Monster Hunter sense, what you actually do with it seems really fun. Building stuff like camps and item boxes and spits anywhere you want is nice. It's very Wild Heartsy. It does reminisce of course of Wild's tents and campsites too. Put them where you need to. You've got a limit on the map, and you can kind of customize that way. Then you have things like zipline, wind platform, catapult launchers to get you around, just throwing you with the catapult, blasting you up in the air with the wind platform, and then ziplining over terrain, well, with the zipline. I think it's quite a nice thing to put into Monster Hunter, and obviously we've seen actual building as well, which is also really fun, at least to me. I love being able to customize to that level, but actually arranging the map as you like it to get around, again, very Wild Hearts, and it worked great there with the category. So having that just kind of here is only a positive thing for me. It's nice to see a little like spicy mechanic like that. You know, it almost feels like every generation of Monster Hunter has like a new kind of gimmicky thing, like wirebugs, for example, like focus mode in Wilds, and in Outlanders it's this. Obviously there's other stuff going on because it's a mobile game, but you get where I'm saying. I think this has potential. I really, really do. In any case, we've got crafting, as you might expect. Though hot drink and cold drink locked implies a path of unlocking items as you go through the game. Hot and cold drink also imply, you know, hot and cold areas, which is nice at map variety to have. But so far, this just seems to work like we'd want it to work. And because it's crafted from stuff you gather out in the field, we're not going to have presumably limits on items and stuff. You know, a la Monster Hunter now, we just can go get the things we need and then craft them into the things we actually need. And again, all the UI stuff does look really clean. Set out for Aesoland. This then is ridiculous. Look at the amount of monsters on the map. That is so many. Wilds has a lot, and this makes it look cute. Presumably, the Great Jagras at the middle right is a radiant one, and then there's just a lot here. As you increase your ecological rank, the monsters will grow stronger. I imagine the variety and new ones will come in too, and it seems like for now you just explore, and that's how you progress the game, and I have to assume specific things will happen story-wise, etc., like old classic HR unlocking quests. In any case, the actual map itself is looking neat. You've got different monsters in different areas, and again, a lot of them, and I do wonder if it will lean on mass hunting, or if it won't be too crazy on that front. If it ends up being hunts last 2 minutes and you just churn through monsters, I think that can feel fun at first, but end up being quite shallow and sort of taking the gravitas out of a monster hunt. So we'll see what the hunt rate actually ends up being, but this density of monsters to me does imply that you're going to be going through them, well, like a hot knife through butter. In any case, then, we also get a little snippet of extra things going on. You've got an arena, you've got high difficulty quests, and perhaps alluding at some sort of end game to go along with that. We see the dual blade skills as well there. And then the actual map itself with expeditions, taking a detour between hunts to try something different, essentially little mini games. You've got an egg heist, which is fun as well. Deliver the egg, hide from presumably the Rathian. You've got a winged drake treasure hunt. You wear the winged drake down, get rid of its stamina, and then you get treasure. And then the best one, of course, balancing Zen stones, which I just find really amusing. It's probably going to have some great reward, and we're probably all going to be doing it, but it's still really amusing. And then endemic life, which I obviously love. I'm so happy this is just a standard part of Monster Hunter now. We can find them, we can capture them, we can research them. Yep, absolutely brilliant, no complaints, this is great. Love it, love it, love it. And that's kind of it then, a little sort of scatter spread of mechanics going on, what the closed beta will kind of be doing at the moment, and I imagine it is quite limited in scope, but this coupled with everything we've seen so far, again, Outlanders is kind of empirically looking fun. It's just on mobile, and we need to know how it's going to be monetized, in what way, properly. I hope it's not predatory, and I hope it's on PC, eventually, maybe, and then suddenly, hell yeah, more Monster Hunter. Obviously, we're all wary, and I think that is fair, but I think, again, as I said earlier, we want it to be good because it's a Monster Hunter game, and why would we ever want a Monster Hunter game to not be a positive, good Monster Hunter game? It's just mobile Monster Hunter doesn't exactly have the best track record. In any case then, let me know what you guys think of all this. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe, hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.